$150,000 on a Pokémon card? That's how much Logan Paul paid for a tiny piece of cardboard with a cartoon dragon on it. That's house money, or at least a few really nice cars. But it's not just any card. It's a shadowless first edition Holo Charizard, one of the rarest cards from the original 1999 set. And Logan's copy? It's in perfect condition. It got a PSA 10. Basically, the highest grade you can get. Out of the few thousand printed, only 121 cards got that perfect score. So yeah, it's rare. But still, is that worth six figures? Turns out this isn't just about Pokémon. The kids who played with these cards in the 90s, they're grown now, with jobs and money. And when you mix childhood nostalgia with adult wallets, things get expensive. On top of that, Pokémon cards are blowing up online. Big YouTubers and streamers are opening packs live, pulling $1,000 plus cards in front of thousands of viewers. People get hyped watching others win big, and suddenly, everyone's chasing that jackpot pull. And just when you thought the hype might settle down, Pokémon drops even more heat. New sets like Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions are only adding fuel to the fire. Cards like the Umbreon EX Special Illustration Rare are already selling for over $1,500, and they just came out. The hype's gotten so intense, some stores are hiring security or even shutting down just to deal with the chaos. But what's really driving this madness might surprise you. We're behind the hype, and this is what's really going on with Pokémon cards. Pokémon actually started out in Japan as a video game for the Nintendo Game Boy way back in 1996. One of the creators came up with the idea because he loved catching bugs as a kid and wanted to bring that same feeling of adventure into a game. In Pokémon, you could explore different places, catch all kinds of cool creatures, and then battle them with your friends. The graphics were pretty basic, just those tiny Game Boy screens, but people didn't care. Everyone loved the idea of trying to catch them all. Kids got hooked on collecting every Pokémon and discovering their unique powers. It felt like going on your own personal adventure, building your dream team of little monsters. Then came the cartoon. The show followed Ash and Pikachu, and it made Pokémon even bigger. Lots of kids would rush home after school just to watch them take on new challenges and try to become Pokémon masters. Around the same time in Japan, they dropped the Pokémon trading card game. People were already into the characters, so collecting them as cards was a natural next step. The very first set had the original 151 Pokémon, and when the cards made it to the US in 1999, they exploded in popularity. Suddenly, kids were bringing giant binders of cards to school. Recess turned into trading time. Everyone was chasing after the rare ones, especially that shiny Charizard card, which was nearly impossible to find. What made the card game special was that it was fun to play and fun to collect. As the 2000s rolled in, Pokémon just kept growing. New sets came out, introducing new creatures and new ways to play. And over time, people started realizing, hey, some of these old rare cards, if you kept them in perfect condition, they might actually be worth a lot. So yeah, the stage was set a long time ago. But that brings us to today. What caused card prices to really shoot up in recent years? And why is it so hard to even find a pack in stores the moment a new set drops? Pokémon cards got super popular again recently, partly because of the pandemic. When people were stuck at home, they had lots of extra time. Since they were bored, many people cleaned out closets and found their old Pokémon cards. Finding the cards made them remember fun times from when they were kids. They looked online and saw some old cards could be worth a lot of money. The president at PSA, a company that checks how perfect cards are, noticed something. He said grown-ups often like doing things they loved as kids once they have some extra money. But it wasn't just regular people getting excited again. Athletes, streamers, and YouTubers made Pokémon cards even more popular. In 2020, that famous YouTuber, Logan Paul, made a video about him purchasing the perfect Charizard card. The video showed how rare and special the card was, and millions of people watched it. This made lots of other people want to film themselves opening new packs of Pokémon cards. Logan didn't stop there. In 2022, he bought a super rare Pikachu card for more than $5 million. He even wore the super expensive card on a necklace at WrestleMania. All this attention made even more people talk about Pokémon cards again. People started looking through their old cards, hoping they had valuable ones too. Suddenly, the companies that verify cards were swamped. At one point, PSA had a literal mountain of 13 million cards just waiting to be checked. They were overwhelmed. They actually started refusing cards just so they could catch up. By 2023, PSA announced they had checked almost 15 million cards. The majority? Pokémon cards. And those bad boys had come from all over the world. Pokémon cards were a global hit. Now, collecting these cards is bigger and worth more than ever. But why are some old Pokémon cards worth so much money now? It's mostly because of cherished memories. smart choices by the Pokémon Company, and perfect timing. For lots of grown-ups, Pokémon cards bring back happy feelings from when they were kids. Remember how exciting it was to open a new pack of cards? Maybe you saved your money just for that. You'd hope and wish that this pack had that shiny special card you really wanted. It reminds people of simpler times when they were discovering cool new things. Now that those kids are grown up and have their own money, they want to feel that excitement again. Opening cards today can bring back all those good feelings, but it's not just about good memories. The Pokémon Company was smart about it. They purposely limited the production of cards, making them rare. When something is hard to get, people often want it even more. And it's not just grown-ups who like Pokémon cards. Kids today are finding Pokémon too. They might see it in games like Pokémon Go, on TV shows, or in online videos. Other toys people collected, like Beanie Babies or baseball cards, just aren't as popular now. Meanwhile, Pokémon stays fun for people of all ages. Whether you're 6 or 36, Pokémon stayed relevant because it kept changing and adding new things. There were always new games to play, new shows to watch, and new Pokémon to discover, but mass appeal needs mass production. And Pokémon was ready to deliver. In 2020, the company announced they'd be speeding up production to print more cards than ever. This helped keep fans happy and even more people could start collecting. But the secret sauce, those super rare cards? Yeah, Pokémon kept those ones out of circulation. So it's true that cards are valuable today because of memories and collecting. But there really are stupidly rare cards out there that can make you rich. Now, this is starting to look like a whole new era for Pokémon. When Pokémon cards got super popular lately, things got a little wild, maybe even scary sometimes. People would rush to card vending machines as soon as they were filled up. Some people even slept outside stores all night just to buy cards in the morning. And believe it or not, grown-ups were actually fighting each other in stores over Pokémon cards. A viral video showed 2 men pushing each other at a card machine because one tried to cut in line. Things got so out of hand. Big stores like Costco had to make a rule: only 1 Pokémon item per person each day. That's strange for a store that sells giant packs of everything else, but in some stores it got even crazier. The chaos led to entire chains refusing to stock the cards for fear of their safety. And all while this was happening, a bigger problem was brewing. Suddenly, the pandemic made it hard to make and ship things around the world. Shipping took longer, factories slowed down, and it was hard to get materials like shiny foil or ink for the cards. And Pokémon, no matter how hard they tried, they just couldn't get enough cards into the hands of everyone that wanted them. Sure, they tried special online waiting lists, expanding production, redistributing to online, but even with all this, cards were often selling out in seconds. Fans were not happy. In Japan, there are entire stores dedicated to Pokémon. Factories that are branded with Pikachu. So the shortage was really only a US issue where you usually buy cards at big stores like Target, Walmart, or even small game shops. Then, new government rules made things even more tough, especially for people buying cards from other countries. In 2025, new taxes, called tariffs, were put on things brought into the US. This made collecting things more expensive. PSA had to stop taking cards from other countries for a while because it got too expensive and confusing to ship them. Imagine sending in a valuable card and then getting a surprise bill for hundreds of dollars just because of the new tax. People collecting cards in places like Canada or Mexico really felt these problems. Now, it's harder and costs more for them to get their cards checked for condition and value. The new taxes didn't just affect collectors, they hurt stores too. For example, stores in Canada now have to pay an extra tax, around 25%, to bring Pokémon cards in from the US. This costs so much that some small shops have to order fewer cards just to stay open. Even cards made in the US are getting more expensive to make. That's because stuff needed to make them, like shiny foil or special ink, often comes from other countries. When those materials cost more to bring in, the price of the cards also go up. That's a big reason why a box of cards costs way more now than it used to a few years ago. So you have all these things happening at once. Lots of people wanting cards, not enough cards being made, materials costing more, shipping problems, new taxes, and online drama. The Pokémon Company is trying its best, but it's still hard to find cards sometimes, and prices can be high. Somehow, through all this difficulty, this scarcity, this chaos, and seems to make people want the cards even more. It's truly amazing to think about how Pokémon cards are seen now. Many aren't just collecting them for fun. They're treating them like serious investments, almost like stocks or valuable art. It might sound surprising, but people are buying rare cards hoping their value will grow, and for many cards, it actually has. What's intriguing is how the Pokémon Company behind the cards seems to operate differently than other trends. They focused on long-term growth and building things carefully and steadily over time. This careful approach helped build trust, which is important for maintaining value. Even during the huge excitement around 2020 to 2021, They kept the card quality high and didn't flood the market with quick, cheap items. Plus, Pokémon is just everywhere, isn't it? Games, TV shows, movies, clothes, phone apps, the list goes on. Being such a huge part of culture helps keep interest alive for the long haul. It makes you think, especially when you compare cards to something like cryptocurrency, which is digital and can change value very quickly. A Pokémon card is real. You can hold it in your hand. For many, this feels more secure. Of course, the cards need to be kept in good condition, as they can be damaged. But being physical objects, you can display them, store them safely, or even plan to pass them down someday, giving them a feeling of permanence. It's reached a point where some collectors store valuable cards in secure vaults or get them insured, like jewelry or paintings. There are even investors who track Pokémon card prices and auctions, just like they track financial markets. So while it might still feel a bit unbelievable, maybe it really is time to see Pokémon cards as more than just a game. It's becoming one of the most unexpected and amazing investment stories out there. One of the special things about Pokémon is how it genuinely brings people together. It connects not just friends, but families and people of all ages. Remember the Pokémon Go phone game from a few years ago? It helped a lot with this. Lots of people went outside to catch Pokémon on their phones together. For many grown-ups, playing Go reminded them why they loved Pokémon when they were kids. This brought back good memories and made many want to collect the Pokémon cards again. When famous people show they like Pokémon, it makes everyone feel like it's okay to like it too, no matter how old you are. When that famous YouTuber Logan Paul showed his pricey cards a while back, it got people thrilled. It reminded many grown-ups about their own old Pokémon cards they might have put away and forgotten. Now those grown-ups even started collecting cards with their own kids. Looking into why trends like this happen, exploring the mix of nostalgia, business, and community is really interesting. That's what we focus on here at Behind the Hype. If you enjoy learning about the stories behind popular trends, subscribe to our channel.